Have you ever just stopped and wondered, why are we good? I mean, really, why? On the surface, it seems like such a simple question. But once you start to peel back the layers, you find these incredibly powerful and sometimes conflicting answers. So today, we're going to dive in and explore three major frameworks that try to figure this whole thing out. Okay, let's make this real for a second. You're walking down the street, you see a total stranger who needs help, and you help them. That impulse, that little voice inside that says, this is the right thing to do, where does that come from? Is it something divine? Is it just part of our nature? Or maybe, is it something we owe to each other as human beings? So that's what we're going to do. We're going to treat this like a proper investigation. We're opening up three different case files, each one with a completely compelling theory about where good really comes from. All right, first up in our investigation, an answer that grounds our entire sense of morality and the idea of love, specifically from a Christian point of view. Now, right off the bat, we need to be clear, this is not about a heavenly checklist of do's and don'ts. The core idea here is that morality actually flows from the example of God's love itself. The real goal isn't just to follow the rules, but for those rules to spark a deep internal transformation inside of you. So that sense of I should do this, where does it come from? Well, in this view, it's totally relational. It's not some abstract duty you have to the universe, it's a response. The logic is simple but profound. You owe love because you yourself have been loved. And that creates the ethical demand on you to actually become a person who is shaped by and lives out that love.
So who's the hero in this story? Who's the ideal person? Well, according to Christian thought, especially in the Beatitudes, it's the meek. Yeah, not the powerful CEO, not the conquering general, but the person whose character has been made gentle and humble by love. It's a really powerful idea. Now, let's file that one away and open up our second case file, which takes us in a completely different direction.
Okay, so our second answer shifts gears completely. We're moving away from a divine relationship and grounding morality in the very fabric of reality itself. We're talking about the Taoist perspective. You see, in this way of thinking, morality isn't some rule book handed down to us. The Tao is the natural, effortless pattern of, well, everything. So being a good person isn't about trying harder or forcing yourself to do things. It's actually the opposite. It's about removing the junk that gets in the way, like your ego or social pressure, so you can just act in harmony with that natural flow. So that feeling of obligation, where is it from? They call it ontological, which is just a fancy way of saying it's based on the very being of things. The best way to think about it is like water flowing downhill. The water isn't trying to go down, it's not following a command, it's just being water. And that's the ethical demand here. Something called wu wei, which means effortless action, acting so naturally that it doesn't even feel like you're trying. So you see the difference here? The ideal person isn't someone who's perfectly obedient. It's someone who is just completely and authentically real. The sage who lives by wu wei isn't just following the rules. They are so in tune with the way things are that their actions are just a perfect, effortless expression of reality. All right, on to our third and final framework. And this one pulls us right out of the divine and the natural and plants our feet firmly on the ground of human history and material reality. Yeah, from this perspective, forget about timeless truths or cosmic flows. Morality gets hammered out on the anvil of real life. It's born from the very real, very painful conditions of exploitation and the shared struggle to break free from it. Your moral duties aren't whispered from the heavens. They're shouted in the streets. So who do you owe your allegiance to? It's not a god, it's not the universe, it's the person next to you on the factory line. Your obligation comes from solidarity with your class. And the ethical demand is crystal clear. The only way to achieve a truly good life for everyone is through collective action. And so the hero in this framework, it's the class-conscious worker. This is the person who gets it. They see their place in history, they understand the forces holding them down, and they commit themselves body and soul to the collective fight for a better world. Okay, so there we have it. Love, nature, and history. Three totally different answers. But what happens when we let them argue? Well, this is where the sparks really start to fly. Right away, they start poking holes in each other's theories. The Christian might turn to the Taoist and say, hey, if nature is our guide, what do we do about the ugly parts of our nature, like violence and tribalism? But the Taoist would fire right back. Oh yeah? Well, if your morality is just a command from on high, is it really love or is it just obedience? And then, stepping into the ring, the Marxist perspective throws a punch at both of them. It basically asks, are all your beautiful ideas about divine love and natural harmony just, the convenient beliefs of people who have the luxury of thinking about them instead of working a 12-hour shift just to survive? Oof. But here's something fascinating. For all their fighting, all three of these worldviews share a deep, kind of uncomfortable problem. A paradox that sits right at their core. I mean, just think about it for a second. The meek person, the sage who doesn't strive, the worker fighting the system, are these the people running the world? Are they the ones with all the power and influence? Not usually, right? There's this huge gap between who these systems say is good and who our world says is successful. But here's the twist. Each system takes that apparent weakness and turns it into its greatest strength. It's an amazing philosophical judo flip. Christianity basically says, that's the whole point. The last will be first. Taoism says, don't worry, in the long run, the soft and gentle always overcomes the hard and rigid. And communism declares, this is just temporary. History is moving and it's on our side. And that, of course, brings this whole investigation right back to you. When you feel that pull to do the right thing, where do you think it's coming from? Does it feel like love? Does it feel like something natural, a sense of solidarity? Or is it something else entirely? We've just scratched the surface of three incredibly deep, powerful answers to one of the biggest questions we can ask. And like any good investigation, this isn't really the end. It's just the beginning of your own thinking on the matter. So let's circle all the way back to the beginning. That stranger in need. You helped. So here's the final question to leave you with. In the grand scheme of things, does it actually matter why you did the right thing as long as you did it? Something to think about.